I'm very optimistic about the country, and I'm very optimistic about Hindustan Unilever's future. Here I'm not worried about a quarter here or a quarter there. I'm looking at it from a long-term perspective.
Is growth coming to you because of penetration? Is growth coming to you because of market share gain, or this is simple existing customers who are moving up the value chain?
See, let me describe what our focus has been, which in many ways you will be able to also decipher the strategy of ours. Yeah. First is, there is a core of the business, or what we call as the core of the core. Yeah. In core of the core, what we have been doing is, first, based on our Winning in Many India strategy, for each cluster, we have defined the core. So core for Tamil Nadu will be very different from core in Uttar Pradesh. Yeah? So we define the core. In core, we do two jobs: drive penetration and increase weighted distribution. That's the focus. Now, it's not easy to drive penetration, especially where the penetration levels are already high. So you need brand saliency, your brand equities have to be strengthened, you have to constantly innovate and renovate the brand. And third, very importantly, you need to have engagement platforms which are purpose-driven.
So I meet you after 2 years, would you say instead of 29, it's been actually 50 quarters?
You know, I never give guidance, but our quest will be, if you look at what's my 4G mantra of growth. First is it has to be competitive. Second is it has to be profitable. Third is it has to be consistent. And the fourth is it has to be responsible growth.
If I can take a leaf from the word success, I guess last couple of years have been excellent for your company, both in terms of margin, market share and volume growth. Is this just the beginning, or this is as good as it gets?
Yeah, first, often people just focus on the quarter or a couple of quarters. And we are a business which runs for the long term. We've been in the country now for 88 years, and I believe we'll remain here indefinitely. Our profits have more than doubled. There is a rhythm and consistency. In 29 out of 30 quarters, we have increased our margins. The only quarter being the demonetization quarter, and there also we took a long-term view. We will not curtail our investment behind our brands and market activities, and during the same period our stock has been re-rated, while the index, or the FMCG index, has grown by about 1.9 to 2x. We have grown by 3.5x, and we have become one of the most valuable companies in the country. So I can very confidently state that the best of Hindustan Unilever is yet to come.
But pardon my curiosity, and you'll appreciate my question. It's purely directed towards the margin aspect once again. Can I safely assume that 20% is the new reboot for HUL margins?
You know, we have crossed the 20% threshold.
You've crossed it, and have you permanently crossed it? Minus one quarter here or there, which could be variable.
You know, we would like to retain it at this level, and then together with the growth, you get the multiplier impact. But let me be very emphatic. If, for instance, there is today an indiscriminate price war, we will defend our turf whatever it might cost.
But when you see a destructive name like Patanjali suddenly coming and shaking up the basic dynamics of pricing in the sector, what's been your learning and how have you responded?
Yeah. You know, first is we have to accept that in a country like India, the competitive intensity is always going to be big. You have global players, everyone. You know, look at it from a lens of global players today. If you don't win in India and China, you won't win globally. Yeah? So India is a key part of the strategy of every big company. Second is you have very good local competitors. You have good regional competitors. So competitive intensity is bound to be there. Yeah.
So that brings me to my next obvious question, which is your acquisition of Horlicks. It's a large acquisition, a very big commitment. I think the biggest commitment which you've done in a long, long time.
Now, I believe any consumer company, in India. I don't think it's been such a big acquisition.
It's a very big acquisition, $4 billion plus. What prompted you to step into a category when it was with Glaxo Consumer, it was a category which was slowing down. It's a category, some would argue, that it represents sugar. It's a category where some would argue that there are question marks raised against the whole availability and the usability of sugar.
Sure. If you look at HFD as a category, this is a very attractive category. If you look at India, 9 out of 10 children do not get the desired micronutrients. 4 out of 10 children, they suffer from malnutrition. Yeah. And this is a category which is about 8,000 crores in size, where GSK Consumer Health is clearly a market leader. The penetration levels are just 25%. Just 25%. And we as a business operate in categories like fabric solution, where the penetration is universal. We operate in categories like tea, where the penetration is universal. In the last 6 years, both in tea and fabric solutions, our turnover has grown by 1.9 to 1.8x. So nearly doubled in 6 years. So we know how to grow the categories where the penetration is high. I explained to you our thrust on market development, which is a science. Yeah? I think I'll give there are not many brands in India which are as trusted as Horlicks. Yeah? If you look at the 50 most trusted brands,
the name would be right up there.
Right up there. And there are not many properties in the country of this scale and size and with this potential. Yeah? At the end of the day, what is our purpose?
And they are not available on block also, whatever they are.
And what is our purpose? Our purpose is that a brand or brands which have been made great by GSK Consumer Health, and when we bring in with our foods and refreshment business, together it will be bigger than the sum of two parts. Yeah? Now, you have the category expertise of GSK Consumer Health. You have the innovation pipeline of GSK Consumer Health. You have the R&D muscle. And you bring them in with the science of food that we know, with the distribution muscle that we have, with the market development expertise that we possess, and that is where the strategic rationale came in. Yeah? It's a fabulous rationale, and that is the reason there were so many suitors for this business. Now, where strategically also it made sense for us, as you know, it is not a cash deal.
Yes.
Yeah, we've leveraged our valuation. In the last 5-6 years, I said our valuation have gone up by 3.5x. Isn't it a great way to protect your future by leveraging on your market cap? And that's what we have done. You know, we will be in a year's time a business bordering on 40,000 crores. GSK Consumer Health will be about 5,000 crores. So you're talking about a 45,000 crore business. So from the lens of GSK Consumer Health, they will be in a business which will be really 9 times bigger than what they are. So that much more opportunities for them.
GST implementation has been smooth. There were initial hiccups for the industry, but then it's been smooth. You managed to cut your costs down, you managed to centralize things. So that one-time big reboot which came because of GST implementation, is that behind HUL, or that will continue to just grow? You'll continue to mount on it?
You know, look at it like this. What were the things, why we are as a company so much in favor of GST? First, of course, is that it brought down the effective rates, and we were able to pass on the benefits to the consumers, yeah, which gave a very clear fillip to the consumption in the country and in the industry. That's one. Second is level playing field. Yeah, people who had been evading taxes would find it difficult to do it. I think that is once the GST in its original form with all e-way bills, etc., gets implemented, that's when the level playing field will start to happen, which may take a bit more time. But the third important leg is supply chain efficiencies. Yeah? Now, we used to have over 40 fulfillment centers in the country, and we have drawn up a plan to halve them in the next, from the time of GST for the 3 years period. So that's still a work in progress. Now, linked to a fulfillment center strategy and a winning in many India framework, we are re-looking at our entire supply chain strategy. Yeah? And these are the three big benefits of GST. I think GST has been a fabulous reform in the country, and the full benefits of GST are yet to pan out, but it's absolutely the right thing for the business and right thing for the country.